It is a great pleasure for me to introduce Kristen Graf, who is the person that I believe I met back in 2008, even though she doesn't really remember. But that's okay, because back in 2008, I was just studying with this strange thing called offshore wind coming from some other strange things. And when I first appeared at the offshore wind working group, there was a guy by the name of Peter Mendelsohn, who kind of said, well, you know, we talked about all this stuff on the East Coast. There is nothing really happening on the West Coast. And I put my hand up. I said, wait a minute. We're studying something there. So it was something that people never heard about. But after I was done, I learned something new about women on wind energy. That is an organization that was established to promote education, professional development, and advancement of women to achieve a strong, diversified workforce to support a robust, renewable energy economy. Kristen completely embodies this mission. She's a perfect match for leading the organization, and over the years, she had incredible accomplishments in attracting women and growing the organization in itself. Kristen brings intelligence, innovation, and creativity to all aspects of her work. She has a wealth of ideas and an incredible amount of energy and commitment to both clean energy and women's issues. She has been instrumental to the organization. Kristen comes from Union Concerned Scientist in Boston. She spent there 5 years. And then she was also a clean energy program coordinator and research associate at UCS. She worked on renewable energy policy at the state and national level with particular focus on wind and biomass energy in New England, as well as working to develop her own nonprofit managerial skills. In 2011, Kristen was named a senior fellow in the Environmental Leadership Program of Eastern Region. She received her bachelor's degree in agriculture and biological engineering from Cornell University. She also loves renewable energy, and because of that, she spent many years working in developing women leaders. And you can't come up with a better organization than Women on Wind Energy to develop those leaders, because when you go to a meeting with project developers, energy suppliers, whatever, you will count women on one hand, literally. However, there are some very strange examples when a person from Vestas on HS&E issues was a woman, climbing up and down on turbines and looking at everything we were doing. So there are very few in between, and this organization that Kristen leads is helping to make sure that it's not just men all over the place, that women are making the difference. And it does take all of us pioneers to be there. It is interesting to see the diversity in the room in terms of age, very young, and those that are kind of maybe at the end of our careers, maybe not. But it is important to recognize that it's the middle ground that kind of not as populous as maybe should have been, because there was a big move back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and now there is a big move. But it's really going to take a lot of people to encourage females to be in the workforce, especially in those non-traditional careers. And wind energy is one of them, believe me. So, Kristen, wherever you are, there you are. I didn't see you. So it's a great pleasure to give you this award, because it does demonstrate exactly what we need, the leadership and encouragement of women to be in the field. So we're supposed to go. Yeah. Okay. Now it's your turn. No?
Yes. Thank you. So I just talked to you a whole lot from that panel, but I'll go just a little bit longer. This is an incredible honor to me. This group is so closely tied to the work that I am so passionate about. It is run by incredible people, led by amazing women. I owe sincere thanks to the C3E ambassadors who waded through this whole process, and to all of you that are here working to build a space that I care so deeply about. I offer a deep debt of gratitude to the WoWE Board of Directors, all of our WoWE volunteers, our amazing consultants, and all the participants that work with me on a regular basis to make WoWE an incredible place to call my work. The truth is, I have a really incredible job. I get to do this full-time. I get to travel around the country and meet amazing women. I get to meet amazing men, all who care deeply about a transition to a renewable energy future. And I get to do it during what could not be a more incredible time, in my opinion. The conversations around women in the workplace and climate change are both incredibly a significant part of the mix of what I would call our current cultural chatter at the moment. The challenging puzzles, but also the opportunities are abundant. I am a born and raised puzzler, a problem solver of a certain kind. Jigsaw puzzles, logic puzzles, crossword puzzles. I have my favorites, but in general, I'll take pretty much any puzzle that you like to put in front of me. It's maybe a skill, a trait, maybe a burden in some situations, passed down through generations in my family, mostly the mothers, grandmothers, aunts, and sisters of my family. When I was younger, my puzzling brain turned toward the environment. I wanted to address what I believe have now become some of the most complex and compelling puzzles of our time. When my engineering training taught me that technology was already much farther advanced than I had realized, I turned to work on the puzzles of policy, thinking about economics, markets, public perception, the intricacies of equity, health, and justice, and how they are reflected in our societal decisions around energy. This puzzle is by far the biggest I have ever seen, and thankfully I know I am not alone at the table working on it. I fundamentally believe, really to the depths of my core, that we need as many different minds, as many different backgrounds, ideas, talents in this conversation if we want it to be successful. We need them at the decision-making tables, at the town halls, in the halls of Congress, and at the puzzle table, as many as we can possibly muster. So at WoWE, we wrestle regularly with not only how to get people, particularly women, in the door, but also how to retain and advance them. I believe it really starts with us being able to tell our stories and tell them well. The incredible history of passionate women that started WoWE, the stories of the amazing individuals in our organization, our rising stars, our Women of the Year, our Red Meyer Fellows. We need to be our own best advocates, as we've already heard quite a bit in the last couple of days. We must know ourselves enough to ask for the help we need, and at the same time know that we are welcome and desperately needed at the table. And we have to have the confidence to take the seat and speak our own truth. But this is about more than our own individual careers. By virtue of sitting in this room, we all wield more power than many in this world will ever know in their entire lifetime. Those stories, too, are critical, and when we are privileged to be at this table, we all have to recognize our responsibility and our imperative to look around and notice who isn't here. We have amazing men who have been those allies for us in WoWE, and hopefully more that will continue that tradition. And we need to know ourselves that there are others waiting for us to stand up on their behalf. I hear often from women, as I mentioned before, around the country at all levels and sectors, desperate to find a way into clean energy. It used to be an easy answer. Network, take your pick. The industry is booming. Unfortunately, the lack of market pull that we heard about this morning and the policy uncertainty around energy in the US has broken that model as we know it. We are all accountable to that story and the stories of our broader community. Our companies, our organizations, our industry as a whole, our society, and our collective decisions. We can't just talk about it here in this room. We can't just tell our stories to each other. We can't bemoan frustrating policy scenarios however much we might want to if we are not actively working to engage our own voices and the voices of our communities, both to create the new innovative policies and to create the cumulative pressure to demand the changes we want. I want to be able to focus on breaking down systemic obstacles and underlying cultural barriers that I believe keep the numbers of women in this workforce low. But for now, that work will be lost if we do not have a healthy, growing renewable energy sector. It's our voices that make the difference. What is true here for me in this life is an incredible honor and a privilege, more rare than it should be, to be able to know the skills and passions of my heart. And on top of that gift of those passions and skills, to have found a way to put them to work in what I believe deeply to be a worthy cause. I only hope we can move as quickly and tell our stories as loudly as we must from a strong, vocal, interconnected community to seize the abundant opportunities that surround us. Never discount your own voice. Do what you can to lift the voices of others, and let's all work hard together so that our stories can be joined to demonstrate the hopeful and innovative energy vision we all know and can shout with a loud, cumulative voice. Thank you so much for this award. It's an honor and a privilege to be here, and I will do my best to always work to hold a place for all of you at the puzzle table. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Kristen. It was well earned, and thank you, Alla, for your wisdom. We're about ready to take a 30-minute break. I have a couple of announcements to make. Number one, a Boston Park Plaza room key was found. It's left at the solutions table if that happens to be yours. Number two, Tina Karsberg, who is a fellow at the U.S. Department of Energy, has some flyers here about the next SBIR competition, which is out at the end of in October. These are small business grants, and so I'll leave these out for somebody to pick up as well as her card. And then finally, for the last panels, please go and get mic'd up before you go out for the breaks so that we will be able to start immediately at 5 p.m. You may go now. Thank you.